And I'm going to hit the record button. And Kathy, you can take it away.
Oh, the stunt question threw me off.
That was added to my repertoire. I wanted to surprise
No,
you with something
well, and I
new.
know because we have already talked about our desserts. I was telling Kathleen and Sandy before you all came on that I been eating desserts during the month of January, which I'm not, I would have done a stunt pie, like a whipped cream, just a tin full of whipped cream, because I think, and Sandy will verify for this for me soon, I think that's what they use for pie in the face stunts, but she'll correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure. Um, so we've all watched, or most of us have watched by now, the movie Double Dare, and we were so lucky. And I'm not seeing the person that's responsible for hooking us up with Sandy Gimpel. I don't think he's on yet.
Yep.
Kathleen and Scott Morgan have a friend named Scott Richardson, and he has ties to Hollywood, the entertainment industry. And so I don't know how exactly this happened, but Kathleen just mentioned that we were looking for a stunt person. And he said, "Oh, I know someone." And he put us in touch with that person, who was a man. And he in turn put us in touch with Sandra Gimpel, Sandy, who not only is an 81-year-old stunt woman who is still working in the business and started as a mere child, and we will tell you all about that, but she knows a lot of people in this film and is friends with one of the principals in the film. So we just feel like we hit the guest jackpot with Sandy Gimpel. And I just want to welcome you, Sandy. And I think as we talk, a longer introduction probably isn't necessary, but I would like to start by just asking you, I know you've seen the film, you were in the film at about the 22-minute mark, I think, sitting in the association meeting with other stunt women at the table. Just tell us, if you would, by way of introduction anyway, how you know the people in the film, what was your involvement in it, and particularly about your relationship with Jeannie.
Oh dear. Well, hi guys. First of all, I'm really happy to be here, and it was an honor for you guys to ask me. I really believe that. And the film, I wish I was involved more in the film, but I wasn't. But Jeannie Epper, who is actually put the film together, it was her idea to start with to do Double Dare. And she's been in the business for a lot longer than I have. And her whole family is a stunt family. So they've been working forever. But Jeannie and I are very, very good friends. And she and I have worked together a lot. And then she got to know Zoe and invited Zoe out to the United States after she, got through working back in Europe. And I've worked and met Zoe also before, who is a doll. She's just crazy, out of her mind, but really nice and can do just about anything. But yeah, Jeannie's great. And I think the film that they put together came out really great. And it got good awards and all kinds of recognition for it. So that was really cool.
And you think it was an accurate reflection of life as a stunt woman in Hollywood?
Yeah, pretty much so. Yeah, I mean, I've been very blessed that I didn't have a lot of, pushing back, how you say it, at being a girl. But I came in a little bit later than Jeannie did, so she saw a lot more than I saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wondered, when Zoe doesn't get that job that she expected to get, and so she ends up going home for, I think, a year.
Yeah, she did.
The film picks up a year later. And I'm wondering, did Jeannie decide to take her in and let her stay at her house because of the film? I mean, was that?
It was partly that. Yeah, she had gotten to know her before that. And then when she went home, she wanted her to come back. And she was just Jeannie's so gracious, it's like, come into the house, stay at my house. It's, that's just who she is. And they got to be great friends. And that ended up, turning into a really good relationship between the two of them. But yes.
And then the meeting that you were attending in the film, and I don't remember whether this was the issue about stunt women being included in the award show, or I want to say you talked about plastic surgery too, or someone getting a do-over. But that association, is it ongoing, and are you a member and on the board?
I was a member of the Stunt Women's Association, and then for a long, long time. And then some of us broke away and formed United Stunt Women's Association, which is another women's group. There's the Stunt Men's Association, who the Stunt Women's Association is really related with. So, we try to hire each other through those groups. But then there's Stunts Unlimited, which is another group of men. And there's Brand X, which is a men's group. And just in the last, 5 to 8 years, and I could be wrong on timing, V10, which is another stunt women's group. So the groups were formed, the women's groups were formed for camaraderie more than anything else, because you don't get to work with anybody. You get to work with the guys or one other girl, and you don't get to meet the other women, and you don't get to know them. And this was a great way of us getting together and supporting each other and helping each other, get work and stuff.
And we'll start at sort of the beginning of your career, but I just we chatted a couple of nights ago, and you were saying, it sounded to me as if you were saying, you really didn't have to fight. You fought for some jobs. You definitely fought for the stunt coordinator job that you can tell us about. But it didn't sound, not that it came easy to you, but it didn't sound that you had a lot of struggle in the business. And it really looked like Jeannie did, like Jeannie
had a lot more struggle than I did, which was interesting because her family was, really into stunts. And when I got in, I don't know, it just was easier for me. I didn't have those problems. When Jeannie got in, men were doubling women. And, if there was any kind of a job, it was like the guys didn't want to hurt the girls, so they hired a guy to double the woman. There's pictures of guys in dresses and wigs jumping off of bridges and stuff because they were so scared to hurt a girl. And that took a big fight, to get women to be able to double women and men not to be, double us. And it got down to, it was called a 3-person rule. And you had to ask 3 qualified stunt women to do a job before you could ask a guy to do the job. And Jeannie, and that era, which was just a little tiny bit before me, perfected that. That really helped a lot. Which was interesting. When I first started doing stunts, I was doubling a boy.
I know. In Billy, is it Moomy in Lost in Space?
Yes.
Yeah, I watched that show after school all the time. Well, I've got pictures to show people of that too. So let's talk about how you got your start. Unlike Jeannie, your family was not in stunts. It wasn't like the Flying Walendas. You were not a gymnast per se, like Zoe. What were you?
I was a dancer, and I was dancing at, there was a place out here called Pacific Ocean Park. That was a carnival show, kind of like at the park. And they had rides and all kinds of stuff. And Westinghouse sponsored, was paying for this big park. And so in order to get into the park, Jack and Jill would dance you through all the appliances. And then there was a robot on the front stage, and we would point to him, and then the people would go into the park and, ride the roller coaster and do all their stuff. But that's basically what I was doing. My mom kept saying, go to college, and which I did. I got my applied arts degree, but she wanted me to teach, to fall back on something. And I'm so stubborn. I'm terrible. I mean, I had actually registered for state college. I had gone 2 years to city college and registered for state. And that's when I got the audition for Pacific Ocean Park and got the job. And that was the end of school. And in which I told you before, a year before my contract was up, I had a 3-year contract with Westinghouse. I had auditioned for West Side Story as a jet, and my hair was really long and dark, and I got this job, and I'm like so excited I couldn't see straight. Well, Westinghouse would not let me out of my contract to do the show. So I finished my contract and auditioned for The Pleasure of His Company with Fred Astaire, going back so far. And it was really funny because it was all dancing jobs, basically. That's what they were. And so I auditioned, and then they lined up all the dancers, and Edith Head, who was the head costumer at the time, and I mean, she had a lot of power in Hollywood. She was just that good, was going to pick the girls that she liked out of this line. And she walked down the line of us and pointing at girls and going, you. And she came to me and she pointed, she went, you. And I was so young. And I went, me? And she went, I said, she was just kind of grumpy. And so I did that job and got in the business doing that job. That's how I got my Screen Actors Guild card. And never looked back after.
Well, and let's don't forget the 15 Elvis movies. So all the ones we can probably think of: Viva Las Vegas, Girls, Girls, Girls.
I did 15 movies with Elvis. Yeah, as a dancer.
As a dancer, right? Yeah. So a lot of dancing experience. I have, if it will play, I'm going to share something. I'm going to share my screen. If this will work. Because this is almost, if you're a baby boomer, your reel, so to speak, is just like, oh, that's not what I want. Darn it. Okay, let's go down there. Let me try to find the monkeys. Okay. I hope you all can see this. This is the pilot of the show, The Monkeys. And you are dancing. Let's see, a little teaser here. If it will play. Oh.
Yeah, there's no sound. It's just the video.
Oh, there's no sound. Okay.
But we'll get to Sandy.
Well,
though.
I'll show you.
It's all worth it.
Okay. There she is.
That's
I mean, and there's one other little shot of you after this guy, and some very bad dancing, not her. And this would have been what year, do you think?
Oh my gosh, it was beginning of the 60s.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what grade I was in. And here you can, there you are.
There I am. My head around.
Yeah, so fun jobs, but what happened? Why did you, what happened to your dance career, and what intervened?
Basically what happened was I got to be one of Elvis's 5 girls to dance with him on 15 shows. We did one show after another. And when he did Change of Habit, which was the last movie that he did, the dancing jobs after that became line jobs. And I'm not very tall. I'm only 5'1". And they wanted all the girls the same height. And unless they were picking a couple of girls, or the line went like on an angle, or the line went down so we could be on the ends, I couldn't pick up these line jobs because of my height. So I started doing background work in the movies. You okay? Anyway, so I started doing background work in the movies, and I did I mean, shows like Mr. Novak. I don't know if anybody remembers these shows. Dr. Kildare. I mean, just I worked with Bill Bixby and a lot. I mean, we did Courtship of Eddie's Father, and all these shows that I was doing background work on and doing a little acting, getting a few lines here and there. And Central Casting was casting background at that time, and they called and said, "We want you to go on an audition to stand in when they light the lights, and set the cameras for a show called Lost in Space." And it's been going for about a year, but we were changing. He's grown taller, and so the person that was, they had a little person doubling him, and they couldn't use him anymore. So I said, sure, why not? So I go on the audition, and
I'm finding it. Don't let me throw you. I'm just finding the picture.
I'm sorry. I thought I hit something.
No.
So anyway, I went on this audition, and I go in the room, and there is like 9 or 10 people there. Guys, I mean, there's the director and the producers and the stunt coordinator and all the, assistant directors, and asking me all these questions about my background and my timing and my coordination, which I had because that's what I, dancing. So stunt coordinator looks at me, who was Paul Stater at the time, and he's not with us anymore, which is really a shame, but he isn't. And he looked at me and said, "So, did you ever think about doing stunts?" And I swear to you on the Bible, I said to him, "What's a stunt?" And he explained it to me, and he said, "I've got a gym in Santa Monica. The guys come and work out with, at the gym. If you come to the gym 3 days a week, you can stand in, you can stunt double Bill Mumy." And I went, cool. And it literally started that way. And I did the show for 3 years. We used to go to the gym and jump into a porta pit is what it's called. And it's got bunches of foam rubber that's cut up in this big pit. And we would climb up into the skylight and learn how to do high falls into the porta pit. And he taught me how to fight and how to do sword fighting and all kinds of stuff. And that's how it all started. And I never looked back.
And I said to you the other day, you're 81 years old. I mean, wow, first of all. And, but a dancer's career, I don't know when does it ends, before 40? I'm not even, but really, and you have been working not continually, of course, because you go gig to gig, but nonstop since a very, very young age.
Yeah.
You made the right choice.
Very, very blessed.
Yeah. Well, I encourage anybody watching, and please, again, if you have a question for Sandy, please put it in the chat, or we can open up everybody's mic after the chat. But excuse me, I did have a little water go down the wrong windpipe. You were in so many wonderful projects. I think there were 187 listings just on
IMDb.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is they're not even all there.
Well, and you had a first for women stunt people when you were in the movie Airplane.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's probably not let's see, was that before or after Star Trek?
After.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about Star Trek later, though. So I'm going to share again, and I'm going to share this scene of you. If anyone remembers the movie Airplane, it was a silly, hilarious comedy. Let's see if we can, there's the Star Trek picture. Let's see if we have, oh darn, I'm going to have to find it. All right, well, let's talk I will find the other one, and you can talk about Star Trek. And this is something that's still giving you a lot of enjoyment and rewards even now, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, you have no idea. I
You were the
Salt Vampire, or
salt vampire.
M3 is what it was called. And then,
Okay.
but the first show, the first one I did was the pilot called The Cage, and I played a Telosian. And I got the job because they were looking for somebody to work in a costume. And they called Paul Stater, who was one of the top stunt coordinators at the time, and he recommended me. He said, you Sandy, I don't need her for this week, so go ahead and, she's great. She can work in a costume. So I went in and did that show. And then after I did that show, when they finally sold the series, they called me back and had me do the Salt Vampire in the costume. This funny part about this costume is you can't see out of it. I mean, there's little tiny slits for the eyes, and the hands are really long because it had suckers at the end of the fingers where the salt vampire would suck the salt out of people's faces and then they would die. So the suckers were out here, my fingers were here, and I couldn't find Bill to touch it because I had to put my hands on his face. So they figured out how to take the mask off the costume so I could do all the rehearsals without the mask on and see my length of distance to him so we could get it right, and then put the mask on and we did the whole shot. But that's basically how that happened. And
So Sandy, did you just say Bill, meaning William Shatner?
I'm sorry.
I I just want people. Bill is William Shatner. All right, carry on.
That's what we called him. But anyway, what I was going to say is, we go in and shoot, and you do your job, and you go home, and then you find another job, and you go home, and you don't think about it after that. Well, how many years ago is this? About 5 years ago, I guess, maybe a couple more than that. When they were doing the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, because they do these autograph signing conventions all over the United States, actually all over the world. And Richard Arnold, who was Gene Roddenberry's assistant at the time, now works and helps with the conventions. And he called and said, would you be interested in signing some cards for this? And I thought, this doesn't sound right to me. But he said, I'll pay you, don't worry about it. And so we made a deal, and I signed all the autographs. And then he called back and said, okay, they're doing the 50th anniversary of Star Trek in Las Vegas at the Rio. Would you be interested in going and signing autographs? And I went, yeah, why? But, I didn't think the monster was that popular, but apparently Salt Vampire was very popular. And I could not believe how many people are Trekkies. I could not believe it. And I had such a great time. I can't even tell you. I mean, what was interesting to me, and I think I mentioned it to you before, was that everybody asked questions, right? But I wanted to know why they were there and why they were so interested in Star Trek. And so many of the guys and the women were telling me that they grew up on the show, and that's why they became doctors and lawyers and scientists, because of that show. And I just thought that was incredible that it had that much influence on people.
Yeah. And Salt Vampire apparently did too, because I've seen pictures of you autographed on eBay for $50, a piece. And you said before COVID hit that you were even traveling around the country, even after the 50th anniversary.
Oh yeah,
these expos and stuff.
Yeah, I did a whole bunch of conventions for Las Vegas after that. I did every year for the Rio Hotel, and then I actually went to London and did one of the big conventions in London, and I've been to oh my gosh, several different states where they have conventions also. And I think you had a picture on the bottom of the picture you just showed. of
Uh-huh.
the moving and Indianapolis, Indiana, and they have a big parade, big Star Trek parade and everything. And they had me as the Grand Marshal, which was really, really cool. So I had a great time. I was there for like 5 days and we just had such a good time.
Yeah, that is so cool. I am going to ask you about specific stunts and dangerous moments and things like that. But I did find the airplane. Set up this clip if you would, because this was what, the first fist
It's
fight between two women on film ever.
Well, what happened was when there would be fights with women, there was always hair pulling and rolling on the ground and that kind of a fight. That's what they had women doing. And this was the first knockout, drag out fight that two women had ever done on film. And Conrad Palmisano, who is a really good friend of mine today, hired me to do this job. He was the stunt coordinator of the show. And if you remind me, I will tell you a little story about Jerry Bruckheimer. No, excuse me. Can't think of his name right now. The director of the show, anyway.
Okay, well, I've got this queued up. This, for people who are not airplane fans. Well, it's a takeoff on a disaster movie. This is when disaster movies were becoming a big deal, and somebody did a satire. And this is a scene you will watch for two Girl Scouts in a bar um, breaking out in a fist fight, and Sandy is the brown-haired girl, not the blonde, but right. I mean, that's how I distinguish you, because your back is to the camera most of the time. But
On and off. I think when you're watching the fight, it's hard to
yeah,
tell.
here we go. And I've got to turn down the sound. Well, you can't hear it anyway, I guess. So feel free to narrate. Um,
Oh, okay.
this is just the setup of this flashback he's having.
Right.
And so, how many takes would something like this require?
Well, we did it in pieces, so it took a couple of weeks to get this thing done
A
because
couple of weeks for this scene that everybody is about to see.
and they were shooting. You know, it's a big scene. The whole, there's a lot going on in this bar, so it took a couple of weeks to shoot the whole barroom scene. Here's the beginning of it.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. Can you all hear? Can you
That's
hear it now? No. Okay.
okay.
Well, so lots of.
That's on the left of the screen when I grabbed her and we go up the
Oh,
stairs.
God. This is-
I throw her off
yeah.
and
Oh, and
jump
she
off.
throws you back.
Yeah, but you get to see my butt.
Oh, and the glass smashing. I want to ask you about that too, and the chair.
um,
Boy.
and the chair on my head. And then I pick up the other one. This was so much fun.
Oh, that's hilarious. And oh, there she goes.
Right,
Okay.
then we
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that took about 2 weeks then. Just
Right. Well, what happened? We shot the staircase by itself, and we shot the bar by itself, and we shot us sitting at the table by itself, and then it interacted with when we were shooting it. They were interacting. It was shooting other pieces of what was going on in the bar because there was a whole lot of stuff happening at the same time. So, it was a little crazy, but there was a lot of people on the set too, and you had to be careful, that you didn't fall into somebody else. They had to make sure everybody was in the right spots and stuff.
yeah. Well, I think this is a good segue into the injury question. Talk to me about your bones. Talk to me about your injuries. You look in great shape. So nothing too horrible has happened to you, clearly.
Clearly, I have been very, very, very blessed about getting hurt. I'm very careful also, and I double check everything, and I figure if I'm going to get hurt, it's going to be my fault, not somebody else telling me what to do, and I just go out and do it. But I've broken a few ribs. I had the ACL replaced in my knee twice. My back hurts all the time because it's washed. But I'm in pretty good shape. I can't complain about that. I mean, I haven't broken that many bones. As the guys seem at that time were doing a lot bigger stunts than women were doing anyway, and they would get hurt a lot more than the women would. But I mean, I've had a couple of really, really close calls that if I didn't double check it myself and know what I was doing, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. But I do the best I can to be careful and open my mouth if I'm not happy about something and see if I can get it done the way I want it done.
Well, and I want to talk about that scene in the movie in Double Dare where they set her on fire. So she's up on some sort of spinning, I don't know what you call it. I'm sure you have a name for that piece of equipment, but she's spinning and she's flying and she's on fire.
Right.
And we were talking about how that working when you're lit on fire. I asked you what's the most dangerous stunt, the one that kind of gets your heart speeding a little bit faster than normal. And you said it is working with fire.
It is working with fire because you are not in control. You are a passenger when you're doing firework. I mean, you have to know how to handle your body and, how not to turn so the fire comes towards your face or whatever. But you technically are a passenger and your safety people are your lifeline. And the people that dress you is what it's called when we get ready to do a fire gag. And all the fire gags are basically done the same way. Jeannie's, all of them. They're a little more high tech now than they used to be. But when we were all doing stunts and doing fire gags, basically what they do is you wear Nomex underwear underneath all your clothing, just like the race car drivers. And they take that and they soak it in this gel that's freezing cold. And you put that on and you're shaking, you're so cold. And then you put your clothes on. And sometimes, depending on, if the fire gag is really big, we would put on a fire suit underneath and then over the gel and then put your clothes on. And then there's a trick with the clothes. They have to be 100% cotton because if they're not, they'll melt. And then they'll stick to your clothing even they'll stick right through to the Nomex. So it has to be 100% cotton. And then they take the fire stuff to put on your body and they paint you, literally paint you with it. And they make sure that they don't paint you in your crevices where you bend your elbows or your knees get bent. And you don't want the fire, you don't want to be painted on your chest so that the fire comes straight up on your face. And you have gel on your face and, your ears are plugged and depending if it's a big fire gag, you have like cotton with water in your mouth that you just bite down on. And then they light you and you move around and do whatever you're supposed to do, whatever it's supposed to look like. And when you start to feel the heat, you drop down and you slap out, literally slap out. And your safety people know that's the sign to come put you out. And everybody that's involved in the gag knows exactly what to do and when to put you out. And it works perfectly. It works perfectly. I mean, the only time I've ever really seen somebody get hurt with a fire gag is when an explosion is bigger than it's supposed to be. And they'll get burnt because of that, because they were really not prepared to be burnt. I did one gag. I can't even remember the name of the movie, but it was like this hospital horror movie. And the guy that's fighting with me has gel and stuff on because I have a cigarette lighter, and I'm supposed to light him up. Well, I have this little short hospital gown on, and we're fighting, and we drop to the ground, and he's like holding me on the ground, and his cigarette lighter falls out of his pocket, supposedly. And I grab the lighter and I light the lighter and light him on fire. And then I'm supposed to just roll out from underneath him, and he's all in flames doing his thing. Well, the only problem that happened was I wasn't gelled at all because I wasn't supposed to cover it on fire. And they had put so much stuff on him, so much glue, that he was dripping, and he dripped the glue on my legs, and my legs, I looked down at my legs, and my right leg was on fire with no protection whatsoever. And it's interesting how you don't panic when you're working. I mean, I don't know what you would do in a real situation, but I just didn't panic. I just rolled out and went straight to the safety people, and they put it out immediately. And we opened up vitamin E capsules and put them all over my leg, and my leg was fine.
Oh,
But
wow. Burn remedy. Well,
yeah,
we have a lot of questions coming in, and I'm I think we need to sort of get those. Although I've got a lot more I could talk to you about, I'm telling you. So, and this is from Kathleen, which I think just is segueing on that airplane scene. How do you throw a punch without hurting someone?
oh, easy. Yeah. Okay. So if you and I were fighting, okay,
Yeah.
what we do is we figure out our distance. In other words, if I pick my hand up and go to punch you, I don't want to be able to touch you. I want some air between us. And the one thing you have to remember is not to lean into the punch.
Yes.
So that when I pick my arm up, the camera is usually behind me. And I don't come up like this to punch, because now you can see the distance. But if I pick my arm up and go straight across like this, it covers the distance between your face and my fist. And you take the hit as I punch, and it looks like I hit you, but I didn't.
And I want to take this moment to mention that you are also a fourth degree black belt in Taekwondo. So there's that. What? I missed it. Sorry.
I was not doing karate at the time we did that movie.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you why Taekwondo over other martial arts, or was it?
Well, okay, I've worked out all my life, either taking dance classes or taking aerobic classes or something. And I was doing aerobic classes with Jane Fonda, who is very, very big in California, I guess all over the place. And she shut her studio down, and we're all going, okay, now what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? And somebody said, well, this guy, Billy Blanks, opened up a studio over off of Ventura Boulevard. Let's go over there. And I'm going, oh God, I hate to start something new. I just, and I whined and moaned about it for about a week and couldn't find any place to go. So I went to his Taekwondo class, which wasn't called that at the time. Taibo.
Oh, yeah. I saw the commercials.
I took, I don't know, a week's worth of classes, and they were great. I loved them. And Billy Blanks looked at me and said, so I hear you're a stunt woman. And I went, yeah. And he goes, so you know karate? And I went, no. And he goes, you should know karate. I can't believe you don't know karate, and you don't know, and you're thinking you can do fights. You should take my karate class. And I went, I don't want to learn anything new. I'm 50 years old. Leave me alone. Well, he didn't leave me alone. So fine, I said, fine, I'll take your stupid karate class. Well, I took one class and I wanted my black belt. I was so hooked, it wasn't even funny. And he looked at me and he said, it's going to take you 20 years to get your black belt. I took every class that anytime I was not working, I wasn't available, I was at that gym taking class, working out. It took 5 years to get my first black belt. And I started teaching for him. I taught for him for 15 years, actually. And, got my second and third degree black belt. And the fourth degree black belt, I believe it was the fourth degree, that took 2 days to testing. And it was brutal. and there wasn't only me, there was, several other people. There was 5 other people, I think, that were testing for their black belts, different degrees.
Mhm.
And he lined us all up. He started down at the other, I was at this end, the left end of the line, and he started down at the other end with the lower belts, giving everybody their belts. And he had belts, for everybody. And he got down to me, and what you'd done is you take your belt off, you tie it in a knot, and you hold it, and you stand at attention. And he got down to me, and he had no belts. And I'm thinking, oh God, because he picked on me a lot. And he says, what makes you think you deserve your belt? And the one thing you learn is you're not supposed to talk back, and I've never learned that. So whatever I said, I can't even remember. And he just stood there looking at me, and he said, give me the belt you've got. And I had it in my belt, and I'm thinking, oh God. And it was like, it felt like an hour. I'm sure it was a few minutes. He took a belt off his body and put it on me.
Oh, wow.
And the tears started rolling down my eyes. I mean, he had only given out, as far as I remember at that time, he had given 3 of his belts out. One was to his daughter, one was to one other instructor that had been there forever, and one was to a gentleman by the name of Garrett Warren, who now is one of our top stunt coordinators also.
Nice.
And me. So
Yay. Do you still, I do have a question. How do you keep in shape? Do you even have to work out? Or I know COVID has been, you haven't worked much during COVID at all, but.
Work out, I'd say 5 to 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
At least 5 days a week. I mean, with COVID, it's gotten on, and it's not as consistent because I'm doing it online. Natalie Bordeaux, who has a gym called The Beat in Sherman Oaks, she also trained with Billy Blanks and taught for him for a long time. So everything we do is basically the same thing. The Taekwondo, Taibo is what it's called, kind of workout, but it's with weight work, it's with cardio work, it's all done to music. Pardon me. And she's been doing it online. So at 9:30 in the morning, I know we're going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going to do aerobic-y Taibo workout. And on Tuesday and Thursday, we're going to do a thing called booty camp, which means you're working with weights and bands and different, stuff like that. And we've been doing it online.
That's
because
great.
you can't go anywhere.
So Debbie wants to know, have stunt performers tried to have a designated slot for the Academy Awards?
We've been trying and trying. And for some reason, they don't think that we are worth it or something. I don't know. I mean, it just makes no sense to any of us. I mean, everybody in the movie, and it's just about is up for Academy Awards, but the stunt people. And it's been an ongoing fight, and why they won't recognize us, nobody really knows.
Yeah. Well, now we have an aspiring stunt performer in the audience, apparently, because someone named Rosemary has asked a question, and this is it verbatim. What advice do you have for those of us who are aspiring stunt people?
Depending on how athletic you are to start with, usually what happens is you're really good at doing fight work, or you've done driving classes and you really are good at sliding cars and doing something like that, or you're a motorcycle rider or a high diver. You have some kind of ability that you come in with. And the best thing to do, and this is the way I started, is to try to do background work, because you're on the set, you get to meet the people, you get to talk to the stunt coordinators. The other thing is there's stunt people in all the states now, So if you know something is shooting and you want to go and introduce yourself, absolutely. If you can get on now on a set, it's hard to get on a set because of COVID. But what we would always do is, you get a resume or put together of what your background is, your training. Um, if you are in the business, if you have your Screen Actors Guild card or you don't, that's a big concern. You have to get your card. So the easiest way to get it is to work non-union. I think it's still the same. You can work 3 shows and then they'll give you, then you get your card. And it background and acting are the same card now. It's SAG AFTRA card. And so now you're in the business and now you can work all the union shows. You go and register, with the all the stunt groups and have your picture and your resume. And if you can meet somebody, it's great. It's just, I think it's a little harder now because you can't go visit the sets because of this COVID thing. You can't even get on a set. I'm not sure how, if you're in another state, if they're shooting on location outside somewhere, you might be able to, ask if you can leave your resume and picture in their dressing room.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Jeannie on the phone. So, and I know it's all in how you cut a movie, but there were 2 or 3 scenes where she's on the phone, sort of going through the Rolodex, looking for work. It appeared,
Yes.
and I was surprised by that because I thought you all would have had agents.
No, we have no agents. No, the only agents we have is for commercials. Then you have to have an agent for a commercial. But if you just want to do stunt work, the more people you meet, the more people you know, that way you can, you're going to get a job. Because like I have, especially in this day and age, before you pick up the phone and you call people, or now you can text somebody. If if you know their phone number, you just text them. And we do that a lot, or Facebook. I hate to say it, but you can put your name up on your picture up on Facebook, and you start working a little bit, and somebody. There's certain sites that are stunt sites that you can actually, get somebody to recommend you and get on the stunt site. And then there's gosh, let's see. There's a thing called Stunt Phone, and let's see what. There's 2 or 3 books that are out that you can get. They cost. I think Stunt Phone is $100, and they put your picture up there and your whatever your abilities and what shows you've worked on, and that's a great way. Because a lot of the stunt coordinators will go to Stunt Phone or one of these other stunt sites.
Okay. I have one more. Oh, wait, there's a new message here. Oh, yeah, how has technology changed stunt work? I know that that those high falls have changed for the better, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, where we would do, the highest high fall I've ever done is 55 feet. But
and this is falling off a building, a high fall, or a mountain, or okay.
Falling off a mountain to boxes or an airbag. Now they have things on descenders and decelerators, and if you're going to go over a certain height, if you're going to go over 50 feet, you're going to be on a wire, and they can control your fall all the way to stopping within a foot of the ground. And we have several people that are the riggers now, and the riggers now are stunt people, whereas the riggers used to be only special effects people. Well, now they're stunt people, which is better because they understand exactly what we're doing and what it feels like. So it's much safer.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is we have what's called Mocap, where you go to a studio and there's cameras all around the top of the room, and they put a suit on you with dots, and they give you a stick and it can be a gun. The stick can become a gun, or it can become a sword, or it can be something else. And it's all done in the computer. And they do that a lot. You know, it's like, say you're supposed to be a monster with weird hair and stuff. So you've got this mocap thing on, and then in the computer, they put all that stuff on you, and you become like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
It's cool, actually.
Yeah, great. Well, and before we run out of time, I want to, you've doubled for so many famous and wonderful people. Oh, I want to ask this question before I do this. Now, this is from Mary, and she said, Sandy, I have a Richard Chamberlain pillowcase, a gift from an aunt who lived in Culver City.
Oh my
Please
God.
talk at length about Richard Chamberlain. Can you dish about Richard, not at length, but just a little?
You know, he was such a great guy. I mean, I can't tell you what a great guy. He would roller skate down the hallways of the hospital. You know, I mean, he was always fooling around and acting silly. And I loved working on the show. And I must have done hundreds of those shows as a background person. And he was great. He was wonderful with everybody, you know. And like I said, he was always fooling around or pulling practical jokes or roller skating down the hallway of the hospital.
Mary is bowing to you in thanks, and she just clutched her pearls. No, she clutched her heart when you were talking. There she goes again. I had to find you, Mary, so I could see your reaction. Thank you for that. Okay, so you have doubled for Betty White, of all people, right? I mean, and I didn't know this show when you told me about it, so I looked it up, and it is called Off Their Rockers. And it appears to be kind of like it's seniors, senior citizens setting up pranks a la Candid Camera. Is that about accurate?
That's exactly what it is.
Okay. So here I found this. I hope it works. It's pretty outrageous and funny, but I just found a little clip of you that's coming out. Everybody can see that, I hope.
Hey, Kathy.
Yes.
Is there a box anywhere that says share computer sound on your screen, on the screen you have up? Because that might give us the sound.
No.
Okay.
I don't have, we'll have to, this is really not a lot of sound. It's just
Okay.
a laugh track in this one, but we'll have to work on that, Kathleen.
Yeah. Another project.
Oh my gosh, you found that one. I'm asking for the balloons.
That's you with the balloons.
Balloons.
Oh.
And I realized the balloons start to lift up in the air, which I'm on a wire at it. And the funny part was somebody grabs me and it literally lifts them off the ground.
Well, I wondered whether that was, we'll watch it again. I wondered whether that was a plant, whether that was another actor.
It was an accident. They weren't supposed to. And he couldn't see us. He was in a truck when he was pulling me up. And then when the person came to hold me down to stop me,
there he goes.
Right off the ground. He didn't mean to do that. See?
That's funny.
Really
That's funny. And I want you, we did send out the clip of the Sacha Baron Cohen prank. And I don't know if everybody found that link in your email, but I have it. And I want you to set it up before, and I would love to find the sound. Just don't know where the sound would be. I'm so sorry, Kathleen. Set this up for us. This is an award show, and Sacha Baron Cohen is about to win the Charlie Chaplin Award.
No, he actually, it was for BATA, the BATA Awards for comedy, and it was done at the Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills, and it was, nobody knew about what was going to happen. Stunt coordinator Alex Daniels had asked me to do this, and we went in the day before with the lady that putting the whole award show together, because she had to know what was going on. And so we did the rehearsal with pads on the floor. Now, when we went to do the shot, we couldn't put pads on the floor because it was a live show, and all of the audience, who was big stars. I mean,
Big
George
stars. Yes.
Clooney was in front of me. That's me sitting in the wheelchair. He was right in front of me.
Now, the idea is, because we can't hear the sound, you've come up, you are supposedly a former child actress who performed with Charlie Chaplin.
Right.
And you allegedly kept the cane as a souvenir.
Right. I say, Charlie would love you to have this cane. And he kisses me and says, thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. And he does this.
And he does this. So here he is playing Charlie Chaplin, and boom.
And off the stage into the audience, and the whole audience went crazy.
Yeah. Now I don't know where, this guy is popping up. I don't know why that happened. Right. And they are just shocked. They don't know.
They have no clue what was going on. And then they realize, and he jumps down and turns me over and tries to resuscitate me, give me mouth to mouth. And then he goes back up on the stage and he goes, she was the last living person.
Yeah.
Now I'm laying on the ground, and basically we had to make sure, there's tables and chairs because people had eaten dinner, and how people turn their chairs to watch a show. And I had, I don't know, maybe 1.5 feet of room to hit the ground without hitting somebody. So Alex Daniels was sitting at the table with, I can't even think of one of the big actors. Anyway, to make sure if God forbid something happened, he was right there. So now after Sasha does his thing, he gets back on the stage, he jumps over and looks at me like, what am I going to do with her? And so he picks me up over his shoulder. I don't know if you saw the whole thing or not. And then walks me around like a bunch of potato sack, going around the tables. But it was nobody knew about it. I mean, his wife was there. Tasha brought in his mom and dad from England and brought them up backstage and introduced me to them. It took 3.5 hours of makeup and hair to get me to look like that. Selma Hayek had no clue, and she wheeled me out on the stage. And we were behind, behind the curtain waiting to come out as they're introducing me. And she's talking to me like I'm 107 years old, and going, are you going to be okay? And I'm like, I'm fine.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, we have one more question so far. Who was your favorite star to work with, and who was the worst?
That's a real hard question. Who was my favorite? There's one person I doubled a lot that I don't even think I mentioned it to you. I was Debbie Reynolds stand-in double for numerous shows. And she was the most gracious, incredible lady I've ever met. And she was really good at listening to what if I told her to do something, she would do it. Except when we did These Old Broads, which was a movie of the week with Shirley MacLaine and Elizabeth Taylor and, oh God, I can't even think right now. But Shirley MacLaine likes to do her own stunts. And when we went I was coordinating the show also, and she said to me, I don't need a stunt double. And I said, that's okay, Shirley, you don't have to worry about it, but I'm hiring Jeannie Epper, and she's going to double you just in case. So she'll be here, but if you want to do something, and I was like really cool with her. But Jeannie worked actually. But they had a little push and shovey thing to do in the parking lot. And I didn't want Debbie to do it. She was wearing this little pink short jacket with mesh hose and high heels. And I said, Debbie, let me just do it, because we're going to shoot over your shoulder and then we're going to shoot over her shoulder. So
okay, and I want to interrupt you, because I don't think we touched on the fact that you were also a stunt coordinator, and in fact, going into that role has really helped with the longevity of your career. So you were running this show in this instant. Okay, continue.
I'm very blessed. Universal had hired me as a stunt coordinator, and on Kate Mulgrew's show, Mrs. Columbo, and they couldn't finish in time, and I actually got to be the second unit director on that show and got my DGA card. Universal bought it for me, which I was the first stunt woman to ever get her director's card. But going back to Debbie,
Shirley
had talked her into doing it. She said, no, we can do this ourselves. It'll be fine. And no matter what I said, it didn't seem to matter. And I never forget. I mean, I looked at Debbie and I said, if you get hurt, I don't want to hear about it. And she laughed because I'm not going to get hurt. Well, Shirley pushed her too hard, and Debbie went down to the cement on her knees. And she looked at me and I just shook my head, walked over to her, and her knee was bleeding. You know, we had to stop her knee from bleeding and change her clothes. And she looked at me and she said, I'm sorry. And everything was fine. She didn't, it wasn't bad. It was scraped. But Shirley's very, hard and wants to do things herself. And if I don't know how much time I have, but really quickly, we finished the show and everything was fine. It was great. Cut back to a year later, I get a call to drive a car on Orange County, which is another feature Shirley MacLaine is doing. And they said, it doesn't matter how tall you are, Sandy, because you're going to be driving the car. It's fine. So I said, fine. So I get on the set and they say, now, the one thing, and they don't know I know her. They go, don't talk to Shirley. Don't get near her. Just stay by the car. And when, we'll bring her out and then you're going to do the job. And I went, fine, whatever. So I'm leaning on the car and they're bringing Shirley out and she's, I don't know, not close to me. She's walking out, towards me. And she stops and at the top of her lungs screams my name and comes running to me and gives me a big hug. And the entire crew was flabbergasted. They were like, oh my God, what just happened?
Wow.
Great. She was great.
So do you want to name the worst person you've ever worked with?
God.
Since we're dishing.
The worst person I've ever worked with.
I think by that they meant star, like not, celebrity.
I'm not really good at that. I mean, I've had problems with people, but I think the thing that impressed me badly was big actor at Universal that when somebody's doing their close-up, the other actor feeds lines behind the camera, and it's just courtesy, and he refused to do them, and I kind of lost all respect for him after that. But I don't want to mention names. He works a lot, and
I don't want to put you on the spot either. Well, what's that?
That impressed me badly. I didn't like that.
Yeah, I understand. So I asked you this before. I'll ask you again. You're 81 years old now. You have a job finally right after the COVID hiatus. You have a job coming up in a week or two. Yep. You're still working. Yep. Is there anything that you won't do now at 81 that you did do at any other age before?
As like I told you before, there's certain things that I don't do. I have done, kind of regretted it. I mean, I'm not good at motorcycle work. I mean, I can ride a motorcycle, but I'm short and it's hard for me to reach the ground if they start giving me a bike over a 250 or 280. And I did take one job because they promised me that it was going to be fine. When I got on the set, it was a 360, and I had high heel boots on and I couldn't reach the ground. We had to literally tie the shocks down for me to stop the stupid bike. We've got girls that are incredible bike riders. Debbie Evans is one of them, and just incredible. You know, you don't need to take jobs like that. I'm probably not going to do high falls anymore unless I'm on a wire. And I've done a lot of wire work, and I feel very safe on the wire. There's really nothing I won't do that I wouldn't do before. Now, I mean, my body's in pretty good shape, knock on wood. I don't think I'm going to do it easy. I'm really good at getting my wellness, you know, physical every single year. I just had my bone density done. They said that I was fine. They said there's nothing to worry about. So, you know, as long as I keep working out and, you know, keep taking care of myself and trying to eat healthy, you know, which we do at the time. But yeah, I think I'll be around for a while.
Well, you are an inspiration, Sandy, and I'm going to go back into gallery view now. Kathleen, I want to try to unmute everybody. If you all want to,
yeah, I just asked you all to unmute.
Yeah,
everybody can unmute.
Everybody unmute yourselves.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
You know, we didn't talk that much about the movie, but you sure told a story that we had not heard before and gave us some real insight into your world, and we really appreciate it. So round of applause.
Yay. Yeah,
for
thank you.
Sandy Gimpel.
Cheers.
Yeah. Yeah. So mics are open if you have any more questions. Now would be the time. But yeah, I really encourage you to Google her and click on videos, or there are different ways to do it. But you've had quite a life and quite a career.
Yeah.
And we just thank you again for doing this for us.
There's a link. I think you can go. It's from the Academy, the Television Academy put up a link of an interview I did, 4 hours long, and it's done in pieces. And anybody can watch it. I think it's on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of covers a lot of my career and what I've, you know, done. They were so gracious about wanting to put me in their archives. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Well, and best of luck for the rest of your career too.
Yeah.
I mean, we may be talking to you again in 5 years. Who knows?
Whoa, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming. We appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Take care.
Kathy.
Yeah.